We visited the painter Rose Wylie in her studio in Kent to see the new painting she's working on. Wylie, who is 80 this year and has painted all her life, has also taught in further education and with her husband, the painter Roy Oxlade, in adult education. In the past 10 years, she's won awards and prizes, and her works have received increasingly greater attention within the fine art world and been included in exhibitions across the globe. Surrounded by her wall-sized canvases and small graphite drawings, Wylie talked about her drawings, painting and thinking process, and the things that inspire and influence her work. Tell me about this painting, please.
Okay.
What is this?
I'll tell you all about the painting, and how it's come about is that I do a lot of work from films because I like films very much, and I think they're an alternative, well, they're a hugely important art form of the 21st century, and I like to take a stunning visual moment from a film when I see it. And I see a lot of films, and I love films. And when I suddenly see some exciting visual moment, I think smashing, unforgettable. So I'll work from it. But I start working from it, and I find it's not quite so unforgettable as I thought. And the more I draw from this, the more I find I can't actually remember it. But you do remember the main points. You remember what excited you about the film, about that shot in the film. And it's always a visual shot. It's not the psychology or the plot it's a visual, exciting moment. And I take that and make a painting from it. I don't care how close it gets, because I know it's not going to get close. What it is a memory of that visual moment that I paint.
Do you draw while you're watching the film? You don't draw while you're watching the film?
No, never.
Why not?
It's dark. I'm sitting there eating chocolates if I'm lucky. I don't know, sitting there with my husband. You do enough drawing and you sit down and then you suddenly think, well, that's wonderful, that moment. It's terrific. You have no intention of doing it, but you're struck with the moment, and then you think later, I'm going to work from that. So as I see a lot of films, there's always source material in that direction. So I draw from the memory of that.
Is it the spectacle, or is it the story?
Is
it the dream?
It's not the dream, it's the spectacle, it's the sight of it. It's the exciting visual moment. It's not psychology, it's not the politics. Well, I mean, that's enough. If you see a visual moment and then you think... The thing is, I say to people, yeah, it's, you know, you'll never forget it, it was so good, and then I find you do forget it. But making the film, making the picture, does in fact... I do remember it very much better than a lot of people do. And also I write the director's name into the painting, plus the stars who are in it, Brad Pitt, or, you know, I have Tarantino written across the painting. I have Brad Pitt, I have the main character's name, I have his real name, I have his actor, the name he played and the part he played in the film. Anyway, so all of that is the start, and then from the drawings...
And how many drawings might you do you think, before you...
I go on until I find a drawing that I think's all right. And don't ask me what is an all right drawing, because I don't know until I see it. And I think that's kind of all right.
That was one of the questions I wanted to ask you. How do you know? How does anyone know?
Well, if I think the drawing is okay, I don't like super skill. I don't like assumed drawings, you know, drawings that you kind of learn a theoretical position and you impose that sort of way of making a work on your drawing. I hate that. I want to get as near as I can to the drawing. It must contain the drawing, or I think it's actually stupid, it's worthless. There's no point if it hasn't got a good relationship with the original. But it's also got to be a drawing which I can bear to look at.
Have you always drawn?
Yes.
Ever since you were...
Yes, I'm a drawer. I do a lot of it. I don't work from overhead projection. I don't project photographs. I love photographs, but I don't work like that because I like the photograph being transformed. I like the image. I like the process of transformation. From somebody who knows all about it, you know, I know about the process of. I've been looking at painting all my life. I mean, I know about painting, sort of.
Were you taught to draw?
I went to an art school.
Did anybody teach you to draw there?
People were there who taught drawing.
Was anything useful said to you?
I had a tutor called Mr. Lucas, and he, one day he sat down and he said, "I'm going to teach you how to draw clouds." I can remember how he did it. It was very clever, and I remember thinking, well, bully for you. But I think you would paint or draw from the moment and from the thing and how you are at that moment, and I don't want to be told how you draw a cloud. I think you look at a cloud and try to work and connect to that in your drawing.
Do you draw from looking at it? I mean, do you draw from observation as well as from
Yes.
imagination?
Yes. Yes, and the final drawing is often the memory of having drawn it a lot of times before, and maybe right in front of it. Maybe it's just that I've seen something and then try to draw it because it's not there anymore. If it's a superb kind of sight, spectacle, what do you call it, image going up the road of a marvellous set of colours, a turban and draped this and coloured that, and I mean, you haven't got it there. You work afterwards. Yes, both. I do both. Either looking at it, either looking at the blackbird outside the window, or just being intrigued by it and then drawing it later. Both things. But anyway, I also like the questions. Keep going.
What is this film?
Well, I'm doing a collaboration at the moment with Ben Rivers, who is an artist filmmaker. He's making a film of me. This is his film. It's a short film, and it's about it's in a factory, a kind of dysfunctional factory in Chesham, and that's that word down the side. Half the word is out, but you can hear CH. This is the name of the place, CHESHAM, down there. That's where the factory is, and the word was further in, like the word on the other side. But it looked a bit too like a commercial poster. I like commercial posters, I like to use them, but I don't necessarily want it to look exactly like one. So I painted it out. This colour here is this sort of, it's a sort of canvas colour. It's not quite the same. It's redder. So I pushed the lettering out, and I do like lettering.
You're painting on unprimed canvas.
Yes, I size it, but I don't prime it. I put necessary stuff on so the canvas doesn't rot.
Is that like on the front? Is that rabbit skin glue, or?
It used to be for years and years and years. I did rabbit skin glue on the front. I did it out in the garden, and then my husband said, "There's a much easier method which you don't have to cook up." So I said, "Well, I'm used to cooking stuff up," but he said, "No, but you don't have to cook it up. It's easier." And he got me some. I was never quite sure about it because it's very expensive.
Do you paint it on the front or the back?
Front.
But it leaves the canvas looking raw, which is...
It doesn't look any different. It looks just like canvas, and I very much like canvas, and I like the colour. So this...
So that white is a colour then? When
White
you paint
goes
on
it as
yes.
a colour, yes, absolutely. So this greeny colour on the canvas makes the canvas look quite dark. In fact, the same canvas is over there, which doesn't look the same colour at all. Like the canvas.
Is that the one on the wall behind you?
Yes, it doesn't look the same as it does here. And this is canvas colour.
Yeah.
But it changes with the green around it. The more it's contained, the more it changes. And then every now and again, you know, if you have to, well, when you paint stuff out, you simply mix up roughly a canvas colour. You know, it's no bother to me that it's not quite the same. It's the same tone.
Words are very important in your pictures, obviously.
Yeah,
and the way you write them too.
Very much, yes.
Because you're writing sort of longhand, but you're also writing uppercase.
Yes, and I've done Arabic writing too. I like that, and Russian writing, because the thing with Arab writing is that if you're not careful, it slips back into being looking European. And it is different. So it's actually exciting to do it. Something very familiar like writing, which actually is quite different from European writing. And I particularly like ours, which have that loop in the middle and the kind of awkwardness. I like awkward. I don't like elegant. I like a bit of awkward. Doesn't mean it's ugly, because I don't think it is ugly. I think Russian lettering is very exciting. It's also unfamiliar, so it's kind of good.
So it's interesting, because a lot of times when people paint words on canvases, it's telling you something.
Yeah,
and yet somehow you're not. You're subverting that even.
I'm exactly what I'm doing, because I don't like knowledge being shoved on by quoting Plato or Homer. I think it's pathetic. I think if your painting doesn't work without shoving Homer on it, then you shouldn't, you know, you should make the painting better. So I use it, and quite often I start, as it's two bits of canvas, I start perhaps here in the middle and work backwards. And you can get very involved with how you're spelling, or rather not spelling, but you do make a mistake. There's a mistake here. I started writing, I was trying to write barrow, sack barrow, but I found I was writing, I got as far as the A, and then I put C and a K on the end of it, because I simply started doing this word on it. You know, my spelling is perfectly okay normally, but it just goes, it's wrong in terms of right spelling, but not wrong in terms of the painting. It doesn't matter. But I corrected a bit of it, but B-A-R-O is not how you spell. It should be B-A-R-R. This one is right. That one's wrong, that one's right. It doesn't matter to me at all. And also, sometimes the writing is descriptive of this thing here, the green thing. Is not a picture of the factory. I think it looks a bit like a factory skyline, a little bit. In fact, it was a torn envelope from one of his shots. If you use your finger to, open an envelope along the top, you get I get a jagged kind of mountain ridge, but this particular one had a big square piece with a few little jagged bits, and I spent a lot of time doing this envelope. I drew a line around it after the green was on. I drew sort of bits where this had been endless, and then decided it was better just flat green. So the big green thing is an envelope from the film still. Because I don't think anyone would know, I wrote torn envelope down the bottom. But that you don't have to know, and I think seeing that word torn envelope actually doesn't help very much, because I think you might start looking for a torn envelope if you bothered, and I think you may not realise that the whole of the green is the torn envelope. That's it. And the factory had pin-ups painted onto the big blown-up photographs of pin-ups on the wall, and I used this one. And it also had danger signals, chemicals, danger, skull. Those big triangles that stand for danger, which is that with a skull inside it. And the skull has come off, but I've got a drawing for that. I'll show you that because it might be quite useful for you to see it. I did some drawings here from the actual still. There's one there, there's a bigger one here. There's one there, there's one there, which weren't very good, and I went on. I made some notes to myself, and I preferred that one, which came afterwards, this little one here. So I put that one onto the painting, not them all. These actually are quite near, you know, the information there is closer.
There's a lot of detail in that,
but the drawing there is better. So I used that one.
It's better, you think, the drawing?
Yes. Without any doubt, I thought, yeah, that's much better. But it had gone through processes of drawing it several times, looking at it, and then going away, and then making a note to myself. And the note is this.
Is it a sort of paring down?
Yes, probably.
A sort
filtering,
of reduction.
Pairing, reduction. Yes, it is. So that one is
clarifying.
Clarifying.
I don't know,
oh yeah,
maybe.
you're good at the words. It's clarifying, reducing,
words, yes.
filtering out extraneous, and it's what you remember of it, which is important because it's you. It's you and the subject. And you're getting as near as you can. You know, I knew it was a skull, I knew there were two bones, and you get that, and I knew it was in a triangle. I knew what it said underneath, I wrote it down. In the film, there was apart from these gorgeous pin-ups on the wall, there was a shot beside of a window with a man's head in it. And the man was elderly and looking as fed up as you can imagine anyone looks, a kind of resigned bloke. So that's him. I thought the idea of the pin-up and his total lack of interest was quite nice, but that took a long time to do. I kept changing it. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. So he's a real, kind of two beginnings. One of them was, the first thing I saw was a frieze in Syracuse of a double line of girls painted on the wall. I'm not quite sure, probably 15th century, I don't know, ancient, fairly ancient, 1300, I don't know, you know, these paintings on the wall in Sicily, which I absolutely...
Fresco?
I love them. Well, it wasn't exactly, because there was no perspective. Well, yes, probably fresco, sort of, you know, on...
Right on the plaster?
Straight on the plaster, yes. So, and they were just a row of girls in pink bikinis with trumpets, and then underneath was another row of girls, and they were very... Oh, I thought they were terrific, very good thing to look at. So that was the idea of the row of girls, and I saw a still of Nicole Kidman from her film, The Paperboy, and there was on her website there's a picture of Nicole Kidman, and there was a view from the back, was the first one I saw. She appeared just to have a skirt on from the back. She had a completely bare back and a pink skirt, gathered skirt. I thought, well, women don't usually wear nothing on their tops. That would be something of a scandal in public. So she did have a single black line somewhere on her back. And I found this very intriguing, her back vision, her yellow hair bunched up, her bare back, her gathered skirt, which children often only wear gathered skirts. Women don't because it makes their hips look big, but she's slender. And
Doesn't she have tiny hips anyway?
She had a gathered pink skirt, dark pink skirt. But the whole thing of the gathered skirt and the bare back, nothing else, suggested childhood to me, because only a child would wear only a skirt in public. So I did Nicole Kidman as a child,
a little girl, yeah,
and with big shoes. But I used her hair, which was coiled up, that one. She had big earrings, she had bling, she had sparkly bracelets, and this black strap. So I'd remembered the black strap. She's got pale skin, no tan, so I used pink, fair hair, done up earrings, bracelets, skirt, gathered skirt. It's more gathered in the picture downstairs. Big shoes to make her look even more like a child, and the red carpet. That's the red line at the bottom. And so it's an amalgam of the Syracuse early ancient maidens with trumpets, and Nicole Kidman in her little bag at the Cannes Film Festival last year. So it's the two things coming together. And she, in fact, the black strap didn't go straight across diagonally. I've done that. I knew it had a great image quality, pale skin and a black strap, and I remembered it as going afterwards, I suppose, fed by logic. I thought, well, it's gone over her shoulder and attached to her skirt. But when I looked back at the picture, after I'd done a whole load of watercolours and drawings, I found that it went under her arm and over her far shoulder, so that strap is right on this second figure.
But it's interesting
the
how
others are all wrong. But so they show corrected memory. The painting shows memory and corrected memory. Often I don't bother to correct.
But then often our memories tell different stories.
Well, they do.
Wylie took us downstairs, and before we sat at her kitchen table to enjoy a cup of loose-leaf tea, she showed us more of her paintings, exuberantly displayed on every available wall space. Wylie's images invigorate even the most casual glance, and her subject reveals how deftly she bridges today's mainstream and fine art cultures.
Do you know Joe Hart plays for England, the goalkeeper? And he's got a sideways face like an Elizabeth Frink sculpture.
Yes.
And I don't actually like Elizabeth Frink's heads very much. And but I thought he had it, so I thought I'd do that.
Billy Piper.
That's, yes, Billy Piper. I stuck it onto that, and I was going to give it to my dealer like that with the paper on it, because I like the paleness of it and the fact it's a hanging, not a painting. It's got its big border, and and I added the paper bits to an old painting, and I put high heel shoes on because I thought this may not read as a leg, or perhaps two legs. So I added the shoes as a kind of key. And my husband got very, very thin when he died. So that's a picture of my husband about a week before he died, and he got extremely, extremely thin. We had a hospital bed in here, and I often saw him from the kitchen with the duvet up here, and that's exactly how he looked. If you look at his eyes closely, that sort of gimlety, his ears got bigger, his face got thinner, and anyway, that's how he looked.
How long were you married?
About 60 years. And he got so thin that his face caved in there. That little line is where his bone structure was coming through. So. And I did a picture of myself afterwards. It's not so good as the one of him, but I just washed my hair in no shampoo, just in conditioner, and it was all sticking up in a great sort of, it was just dry and it was just sticking up. And I thought I would record it with some model underneath. I was asked to do a model, her.
Who's
quite
that?
A different.
Is that you?
No, that's Cindy Crawford. That's clever, yes. Sort of different, because I thought I should try and make her look quite glamorous. Anyway, that was her. And there's one other thing to look at before we settle down.
Wylie led us through her kitchen to her late husband's studio space, where she has stored more of her paintings.
This is then a Carl Kidman series. I said I'd got 5 of them. This is one other. And you can see that's where I stick a bit, this bit, it's as thick as, that's the width. And it gets stuck on, and then it's stretched around the wood, so you see the edge of the painting from the front. You don't lose.
You don't lose anything around the edge of the frame.
Yes, that's right.
Of the stretcher, I mean.
Yes, that's right. And the paperboy is I write in information. I use them as mnemonics so I can afterwards remind you of the title and the names of people in it, etc. That's the other half there. It's probably dark, is it, for you? So that's the second version of the one that was on the wall upstairs.